Okay, recently Jordan Belfort stated, risk is what keeps us young. It's true. Risk keeps things exciting. Risk keeps you on the edge. It keeps you ahead of the game if you know what you're doing. But what gets you rich is managing your risk. Yeah. Okay, so ultimately, if you're investing, if you're trading, you're doing Forex, you're doing crypto, you're doing the stock market, there's always a risk. Absolutely, 100% of the time. There's never a such thing as a sure thing. There's always a risk. But managing that risk, and in order to manage that risk, what you've got to do is you've got to gauge the possibilities. You've got to really look at things, see what the potential is, what your ROI is, what your return on investment is possible, what it's capable of. Like, okay, so you've got to gauge what the possibilities are. You've got to gauge what the likeliness is. You've got to see, like, when you're doing when you're doing trading, you've got to look at the curves. You've got to look at pivot points. You've got to look at what the trend has been doing and what it's going to do. You've got to be able to predict that. Now, you're not going to be 100%. You're not going to always knock it out of the park, but you will win more than you will lose if you gauge that risk. So that's what you've got to do. At the end of the day, it's absolutely crucial to be willing to take a risk. People who are unwilling to take a risk, people who are going to sit back on the sidelines, that's where they're going to be. They're going to be stuck on the sidelines. They're going to be unable to ever see that true potential, the height to which they can reach, the level of, the level they can get in their business, the level they can get in their investments, the level they can get their portfolio to get to, where they can compete with the big boys, where they can look at these other hedge funds and say, hey, this is what the hedge funds are doing, but this is where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get to a level where you have true financial freedom, and financial freedom doesn't mean you're rich, doesn't mean you're, it means that you're not worried about money anymore. It means that you're at a station in your life where finances are no longer a concern. And that's where I want to help y'all get. That's ultimately, to me, that's the greatest achievement. To be able to take a vacation with your family, to be able to go to the grocery store and not look at price tag, not worry about, hey, I've got to count and tally up everything as I'm going. I've got to make sure and get as many coupons as possible. Like, this is where we want to get. Ultimately, if you're starting a business, you're going to take a risk. If you're launching into a new avenue in the business that you already have, you're going to take a risk. If you're launching a new product, there's a risk. But what you do is you look at the way you market it. You research how you're going to market. You research how you're going to invest your money. It all comes back to taking the time to really look into what you're getting yourself into and making sure you're gauging your risk reasonably. You've got to know where you're going to go. You've got to know where you're at, what your ultimate goal is, and how can you get there. It's going to be risky. It's going to be. If you're working a 9 to 5, that's not risky. You're going to go in every day and you're going to, do your job. You're going to get paid for your hours. But if you want to stop swapping time for money and actually do something bigger, there's going to be a risk involved. But gauge that risk. Take the time to evaluate what you're doing, what the real potential is, and are you able to hit those marks? Like I said, it's the same thing with real estate. If you're going to buy a real estate property, like T-Pain talked about it. He made all this money. He's talked about this in more than one interview. He made all this money when he was selling records, right? And then he took all that money and he had some buddies of his buy real estate properties. All those real estate properties, he was like of the mindset, he's like, I got to do something good with my money, right? I got to invest it so it stays here. Well, they bought properties that were worthless, that they couldn't sell. They couldn't figure out how to turn it into money. Don't get yourself in that kind of situation. And that ain't a knock at T-Pain. T-Pain knows now what he should have done differently. And that's what I want you to do, is I want you to know before you get yourself in over your head what you should be doing. So whether it's real estate, stock market, crypto, Forex, whether you're launching into a new business or you're starting a new business, you're branding yourself, you're marketing yourself, you have a new product, whatever it is, make sure you take the time to know what you're getting into, know what it's going to cost you, know the potential return that you're going to get, know how you're going to get there, and map it all out. You've got to take the steps to manage that risk, so that way that risk is well worth it. All right, it's your boy. Be sure you like, subscribe, ding that bell, get your notifications. I got more coming at you. Y'all stay tuned.